What is the next big technology on the horizon, and will the NSPS, GLIS, and AAGM reorganization efforts succeed? John Matonich, President and CEO of Michigan-based Rowe Professional Services, has seen a lot of changes in the surveying profession over the course of his 30-year career. What does he see as the next big technology on the horizon, and what are his thoughts on the NSPS, GLIS, and AAGM reorganization? POB editor Christy Grail spoke with John about these and other trends.
How have you guys weathered the economic challenges of the last few years?
It's a great question. You're absolutely right. It has been difficult. We are Michigan-based. We have one office in South Carolina, but we've got 5 offices here in Michigan. The vast majority of our staff and the vast majority of our business is here in Michigan. So we certainly feel the effects when the state has economic issues. I think we've weathered it better than some, and probably not as well as others. We had to reduce some staff, not dramatically. We probably had about a 10% reduction in staff. We put some benefits in suspension for a short period. And we continue to look for opportunities to grow our business, perhaps in other arenas, to do some things that maybe we didn't do before, or add some things that we did but a small amount of, and try to increase those. And that's really something that's taken it's taken a lot of effort on the part of our management team and our staff to have that sense of humor, to understand that we're in an economic situation, and we'll weather it the best we can and move forward. And hopefully we're seeing the tail end of that, and we'll soon see the positive side rather than the negative side.
Sure. Well, and making yourselves more efficient too, are there different things that maybe you've implemented as part of your business processes, maybe out in the field or here in the office, that have helped streamline your processes?
Absolutely. One of the things we like to do is get folks as involved in multiple aspects of a project, so that someone may be very good in the field but also be able to contribute in the office, so that there's a good continuity. It makes it more efficient for a project, and the ability to use, whether it's CAD software and data collection software, that's a very, very positive thing, instead of having to rely on 2 people, for example, to do that with highly specialization, because that can be inefficient at times. When times are good or projects are strong, it's very good to have some of those specializations. But when it's a little slower and you've got to be a little more efficient, you really want to try to broaden your knowledge base and broaden their expertise base so they can contribute a little broader across the project.
Sure, that makes sense. And it seems like that cross-training, especially in a multidisciplinary firm like Rowe, would really be a benefit. Do you have to do a lot of outside training, though, to make sure that everyone understands the different facets of the business?
We do a vast amount of training. We spend a lot of money on training, still do. It's not something that we've cut back on very much at all, because we really feel it's a very important piece of what we do, is having our folks as educated as possible on the latest technologies, the rules, being safe, all the kinds of things that are part of being a company that require good education. So we have both outside training, conference attendance, and a lot of inside training. We do a lot of what we call brown bags. We'll bring in some pizza at lunchtime and have various speakers come in and talk about different aspects of what we should know, and use in-house as in-house training as a good piece of what we have to learn. And it's been very successful for us. It's worked out quite well.
Well, surveying, of course, is just one aspect of your firm, but it's obviously an important part. Your background is a licensed surveyor. What role does surveying play here at Rowe?
Oh, surveying is a very important part here. It's one of our strengths. We're very, very fortunate. We have a very strong, highly qualified staff of surveyors, and are able to take on some pretty sophisticated projects. We've worked very hard at that. Our survey group actually has a number of its own clients, and it's something we've worked on for a long time. And while they still provide support for other departments, they actually do more work for their own clients than they do for support in some of our other departments. And that's by design. That's something that we work very, very carefully on. Well, obviously we stay up to date with what's available in terms of the robotic total stations, the GPS units. Those we've had those for a long, long time. We're in the process now of evaluating where we want to be with mobile scanning. I think the mobile scanning side is something that is inevitable. It will certainly be here. It has some great advantages in terms of safety, for example, time frame, but there's a lot of capital investment, and there's a lot of IT investment. It's something that we're looking at very carefully, very closely, but we're not going to leap too fast. We're going to make sure we understand as many of the goods and bads as we can before a decision is made on how to proceed with it. But it's something we've watched for a while and have had a group working on it for about 6 months now. And we've done a lot of research, attended some conferences, read a lot of papers, and trying to get as best a feel for it as we can. But it's important. It's very, very important for us to stay on top of that next generation of technology. We have an aerial division, so we've always been involved in understanding LiDAR and LiDAR's place in technology, and digital cameras versus film cameras that would be done in an aerial sense, and the benefits of the digital world versus the analog world. And those are things that we've gone through about the last 5 years, trying to stay up to speed with them and trying to stay in front of that curve and understanding that information. And I think our clients have benefited from that.
And from what I understand, one of the next big trends is kind of taking that aerial, the ground-based, the mobile, and merging it all together to provide a very rich data set.
It's a very good point, and I think some of our clients are, to their credit, are understanding that. In fact, the state of Michigan just recently put out an RFP for a very comprehensive team. They wanted a team to do survey all the way across the board, including stationary scanning, terrestrial scanning, mobile LiDAR, mobile scanning, traditional conventional methods for data collection, all of them together. And they wanted teams that could perform any or all of those pieces. And that to me is really that first step in integrating all that data into a single piece that can be used in multiple arenas. So I give them a lot of credit for thinking that far. That's a super thing. And I believe that the state will benefit from that, and the people in the state will benefit from that very, very, very much so.
Well, it must be challenging as a service provider to have that kind of challenge in front of you and say, oh, we've got to be able to provide what they're looking for.
It is, but I think one of the advantages we have, as a number of firms do, we have a lot of friends in the business. We have a lot of companies that provide very good pieces of that puzzle, and we join together as a team, and we put a really good team together. We were awarded one of the contracts. We were given, in fact, we scored the highest, I think, of any of the teams. We're very, very fortunate. It's a testimony to how good my staff is and how good our team members are. And they were very pleased with how comprehensive our presentation was and our proposal was, and the ability to provide that entire level across the board of that data input and data management. So it's something we're very fortunate to do. But the challenge is there, trying to provide it yourself, where in fact we have good partners, and we love to partner. We partner all the time.
Although the interview took place before the announcement that the ACSM Congress was being disbanded, John had a strong opinion about the need for surveyors to have a national voice.
I think that the concept of ACSM has always been a good one, an organization that represents these different interest groups, cartographers and GIS specialists and geodetic scientists and land surveyors. Unfortunately, a number of those other arenas have really diminished in size, tremendously diminished in size, or have found themselves being better represented by other organizations. There are a number of GIS organizations, for example, that are wonderful national organizations, a number of good state organizations that represent their interests better than we've ever been able to. But we still have this survey community. There's still, I think the last number I had seen, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 55,000 licensed professional surveyors in the country. Probably another 500,000 technicians in terms of folks who work within the profession. That's a big group. That's a big group. And there's definitely a need for them to have a voice. Our community, our members need that strong voice to represent their interests at the national level. We have some wonderful state affiliates. There's some great state organizations, very strong state organizations, and they serve the purpose wonderfully at their state level. But there are just some issues that just can't be answered by a state organization. There needs to be that national voice.
In your opinion, what should surveyors be focusing on today to ensure their long-term success?
I think it's be proud. Don't lose your identity. I'm proud to be a surveyor. I've always been proud to be a surveyor. I chose surveying. Surveying didn't choose me. I didn't fall into it. A judge didn't tell me I had to go into it. I chose it, and I chose it for a reason. I chose it because I felt it was something that the surveying community and the surveying profession makes wonderful contributions to society and to mankind. I tell my staff all the time, think about everywhere you go, everything you see, Everything you do was founded in surveying. If the surveying profession wasn't around, none of that could happen. Whether it's a subdivision where you live, or the highway that you drive on, or the airplane that you take off, everything is founded in some way, shape, or form in the surveying profession. And we should never lose sight of that and never downplay the importance of it.
Well, along with embracing that historical importance of a surveyor, though, there's perhaps a chance that you might be reluctant to change and embrace future technologies. And is that a danger that maybe surveyors should be aware of? Or?
So I think as long as we're always willing to learn, as long as we're always willing to look, as long as we're always willing to research, we'll understand when it's our time as individuals to jump into that arena. And we've done that all along. From way back when I started with the firm, and our main mode of measuring distances was a steel roll tape. That's what we had. We had one EDM, and everybody fought over that EDM. Today, if I took that EDM out of the closet and said, here, you have to use this, I think they'd throw it at me. They wouldn't have to use it anymore. But we embraced that technology when we were able to, never forgetting our roots, never forgetting that we still have to get the job done. And I think that's the same with all surveyors.
Well, as you look at the future of technology, as you look at the future of the surveying profession, what are you most excited about?
I'm excited about the youth I see. I have the great fortune of visiting a number of the campuses and talking to surveying students, and I've visited a number of them across the country. And I'm so happy to see the future leaders of our profession, to see what's on their mind, what's in their thought process. It's just amazes me. They're so far ahead of where a number of us were when we were that age, and it's so impressive that I think these folks are going to demand more. I think our future surveyors are going to demand more across the board. I think they're going to demand more in technology. They're going to demand more of themselves. They're going to demand more of their companies. I think they're going to demand more of their clients. And all in a good way, all in a good way. But I've been so impressed by that. I've been so impressed by just the great attitude and the great understanding of our future leaders, our future surveyors. So that's what I'm most excited about. I think that's the one thing that we have to look forward to is a stronger profession. I think these folks are being well educated, understanding not only the historical benefits, but the potential benefits of being a surveyor. And I think they're going to take full advantage of that. And maybe someday I can come back and wave at them or something. I don't know, it'd be kind of cool.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you.